And so welcome to this Yin class. Let's begin by taking your one hand to the belly and one hand to the heart. And this class, we are going to focus on a sequence for the stomach and spleen. So supporting the digestive system. I don't know about you, but over the festive season, you kind of tend to be on everyone else's eating schedules and, just being social and not really eating for what your body needs. And as well as that, when we work on this sequence, it's supporting processing. So not just processing food, but also emotions. So sometimes these two areas can be very tied in together with emotional eating and also eating when we are emotional. So you can't process both things at once, food and emotion. This is all according to Ayurveda. So you've got your Agni, the digestive fire, and if it's processing food, it's not processing emotions. Saying that, we're going to use this sequence of the stomach and the spleen meridian just to support our bodies in that. So with one hand on the heart and one hand on the belly, take a nice deep breath in. Talking about processing food, I think Rosie's just eating some sort of bug, so she'll be processing that in the corner here. All right, so another deep breath in, feel the whole belly expand. And soften and relax. One more deep breath in. And release. Good, and take a nice deep breath in and float your arms above the head. Reaching up, stretching up through the waist. Interlock the fingers and just push the palms away from you. Anchor down through your seat as you get that nice stretch up through the spine. Good, and gently release. All right, so before we begin, we're going to find a couple of pressure points, acupressure points that support what we're doing today. So coming into, firstly, the spleen, I think it's called spleen 6. So to find this point, you come to the ankle, the inner ankle, and it's about 3 fingers up from the inner ankle. We've all done this. It's sometimes called the 3-yin junction as well. So we want to give that point a little bit of a push. So I'm just using my thumb and making clockwise circles there. So 3 fingers up, just behind that bone there, tibia. Just give a little bit of some circles. So this builds the yin energy. And you'll know when you find it, it's a little bit of a pointy feel. And do that on both legs. So maybe 3 to 5 circles on that point. One side or one leg may feel more sensitive than the other. That's normal. Good. And then let's find the other point, which is another major energy point for the stomach. So you find the bottom of your patella, near the knee bone, find the bottom of that, and then come down 3 fingers from that, and then it's 1 finger outside of the shin, the tibia. And sometimes you just need to move the finger around a bit till you get that point. So 3 down and 1 outside the tibia, the shin bone. And that's another major energy point for the stomach. So just take some nice deep breaths there as you give that point a little massage. And then the other side. 3 fingers below the knee and 1 outside the shin. Good, and when you've had enough of that, we will come and find our first pose. So we're going to come into a forward bend, legs out in front, sitting up on a blanket if you're feeling quite tight. This is the first stretch of the day, so often we are tight, but it's a nice release for you. Now, I forgot to say you may need a bolster or a cushion wrapped with towels for this class, but you can also do it without any props. So optional bolster onto the knees, otherwise just coming forward. So I've got my feet hip distance, and then just letting yourself round. Remember, this is a yin class, so there's no forcing, there's no clenching of the muscles. We want the muscles to completely relax. Chin into the chest and just let the shoulders round. So you're going to notice that you may feel quite stiff in this pose. That's fine. And don't worry about how far down you come initially in the morning. So just let yourself relax down there. Turn the palms up and just let the head go. So chin into the chest. Softening the muscles of the face. Letting the shoulders release and relax. If you're finding it really tight on your hamstrings, you can slide a blanket under the knees if you need that extra support. That's okay. And just soften down, breathing here. Letting everything go. Soften the back of the neck. Soften the shoulders. Remember, there's no forcing or pushing in the shoulders. Take some more deep breaths in this pose. Good, and then slowly turn the palms over when you're ready. And just take your time to push yourself up. Maybe bringing the hands behind you. Bend the knees. Drop the knees to the right. And then bring the left arm around and just take a little twist. Gazing behind you. And then let's go back the other way. So coming over, drop the knees to the left. Bring the right arm around, have a twist. And come all the way back. Well done. All right, finding your way onto your stomach now. We're going to come into Sphinx pose and seal pose. Now again, you can use your cushion underneath, your bolster, or you can just come straight into the pose with the elbows under the shoulders, knees under the, or legs straight, I should say, just elbows under the shoulders, palms pushing down into the floor. And if you do use the bolster, make sure your pelvic bowl is actually on the ground. So you want your belly to relax. Take a nice deep breath there in your Sphinx, softening into the lower back. And as you inhale, just really open the heart space. Let the shoulders fall away from the ears. The chest and the heart open up. Some deep breaths here, feeling the belly expand onto the floor with every inhale against the floor. And soften and release on the exhale. You might choose a point to focus on or close your eyes. You can either stay here, or if you'd like to deepen the pose, spread your fingers, turn your fingers and palms out to the side slightly, and you can straighten your arms coming into seal pose. So that's just optional if you'd like to go a little bit deeper for the last minute. Good, and well done. Very slowly release from that pose. Come down onto your forearms. So push the bolster away if you've got one. Place the forearms across the mat and let the third eye space just rest onto the forearms for a moment. Good, and then inhale, come up, curl your toes under, place your hands beside the chest and just push the floor away from you to come up to tabletop. And from here, we're going to come into our sleeping swan. So you're going to bring the right knee behind the right wrist and find your sleeping swan. So you can again you can even touch on that pressure point again here, or bring your awareness to it, that 3-yin junction on the inside of the ankle. Take a breath, opening up your chest, and you are going to come forward into the sleeping swan. So you can use your support underneath you, or you can just come down onto the forearm. So letting the head go and come down, or bring your support, your cushions under the belly, and then come forward for a more supportive version. So whichever version feels good for you, come into that now. So slowly and gently, focusing on your breath and focusing on releasing the muscles, remembering the principles of yin. We find the position, we soften and release the muscles, letting go. And just resolving to remain still in the pose. Keeping your awareness on the sensations of the body. And also for this class, we're focusing on the digestive system, processing emotions. If you are finding it hard at all, I'd like you just to say to yourself, I give myself grace in this moment. I give myself grace in this moment. So allowing yourself to release, knowing that you are perfect just the way you are. So watching that self-talk and just really being kind to yourself and switching it around. So I give myself grace in this moment. Or you could say, I'm perfect just the way I am. So just letting yourself relax into that thought. Good, and very slowly and gently, take your time, push the floor away, come up, take a breath. And before we do the other side, we're going to come into a frog. So slowly and gently, bring that right leg back. And we're going to find our frog. Now, if you can remember frog, It is when your knees are in line with your hips and your ankles in line with your knees. Now, if it's too strong, you can go into tadpole, which is like a wide-kneed child's pose, but your hips are forward. So that's the main thing I want you to focus on, making sure that your hips and your knees are aligned. So coming into either frog or tadpole, I'll just say it again. So frog, knees and hips aligned, ankles and knees. Tadpole, your toes are touching, and you've just got your knees and your hips aligned. You can come forward onto a bolster or a block, or just onto your forearms. So just choosing that. Another little tip is to have a blanket, if you've got a blanket handy, or a towel. Another little tip is to place that on the mat to make it a little bit easier for yourself, so that your knees can easily slide out to the side. Knees sliding out, just check knees and hips aligned, ankles and knees. So you're going to really feel this pose in that inside seam of the legs into the groin. So it's a real letting go here. Just softening and releasing. Deep breaths. Good, and very slowly, think about how you'll move out of the pose before you actually move. Take your time, maybe bringing the knees together, maybe taking a moment in a child's pose. Arms behind you, letting the head go. It's a very powerful pose, that frog pose. Remembering your affirmation, I give myself grace in this moment. Good, and then let's transition into the sleeping swan on the other side. So coming back via all fours, we're going to bring our left knee behind the left wrist. And slowly and gently, if you used your bolster on the other side or your cushion, maybe use that support. Otherwise, you can just come forward. So just doing the variation that suits you as you come into your sleeping swan. Good, and very slowly and gently push the floor away, come up, take an inhale. Release any support that you had underneath you. Just place that to the side at the moment, coming up. And let's find those pressure points on the side of the knees again, just checking in there. So remember, it's 3 fingers down from the patella and 1 finger in. Just giving that a little bit of a massage before we come into our saddle pose. So saddle is a very powerful, strong pose for digestion, for the stomach, the spleen. And it also works in the kidney meridian, so it's a really great one to do. As we come into our saddle pose, you can use as many supports as you like. So there's a lot of variations in the saddle pose. So the way we come into it is we sit back onto our heels, and I'll just show you what it looks like. So saddle's the one where we come back onto our forearms and eventually resting all the way back. But obviously we need support. So the strongest version is just having a bolster or something behind the shoulders, along where at the base of the shoulder blades, but also supporting your neck. Now that's great because it gets deep into the kidney meridian as well. But if that's not doable, turn the support sideways to support you along the spine, and don't be afraid to stack up cushions and blankets as high as you need to go. So I'm quite low here, but if you've got blankets, pillows, whatever you need to be able to come back, and what we want to create is this opening in the whole of the front body and the digestive system. So finding that variation that suits you, that you can resolve to be still in. I'm going to go that way. And the other point I wanted to say is don't worry about your knees fly up a little bit, because they will settle down. Sometimes pushing into the toes helps with that. So it might take you a moment to get into the pose. That's fine. Take your time to find that right position. And then lie back and just use your breath to start to let go and soften. You'll feel it down the front of the quads. As long as there's no pain, you just want if it's just a stretch, then that's fine. Remembering to use your breath to breathe into those tight areas. Keep breathing down to the belly, filling up the whole of the front body. Fresh energy, fresh life force. See if you can soften the jaw a little bit here. Creating that beautiful space in the front body. It's very therapeutic. We often spend so much time hunched over in more of a forward bend way, so it's really nice to open up and get the front body extension. Also the hip flexors. Often our hip flexors become tight if our core is not strong and working. It's a good way to stretch out the hip flexors. All right, when you've had enough, think about coming out. So it can be awkward to get out of this pose. You just want to remember to move slowly. So take your time, maybe use your elbows and your hands, or maybe roll to the side. Just coming out in any way that suits you. And just sitting for a moment, maybe turn the palms up, just notice the rebound effects of this pose. Take a deep breath, always taking our time, moving very, very slowly. Good, just sit, feel the sensations as you come out. Maybe release the feet, the legs. And when you're ready, take your hands behind you and we'll do that same release that we did before. So drop the knees to the right and then just bring the left arm around. Take a little twist. Heart and lungs open up. And to the other side, knees drop to the left, right arm spins around. And coming back. Well done. All right, so when you're ready from here, lying on your back, we're going to take a supine twist. So just lying down, take your arms out to the side. When you're ready, the hips move slightly to the right. So, sorry, before I say that, you should have your knees and feet parallel, hip distance. Then hips drop to the right, knees drop to the left, and just gazing to your right, getting that nice side body stretch. If you want to make it stronger, take your left ankle over the right knee, and you can give a little bit of a pressure there. And maybe close your eyes, let the shoulders soften. The shoulders are down and away from the ears. Just closing your eyes, releasing into that twist for your spine. Good, and when you're ready, slowly release the leg. Bring the knees back to center. Shift your hips back so you're in a neutral position and take a breath. And then we'll go to the other side. So hips shift slightly to the left, knees drop to the right. Maybe take that right ankle over the left knee and gaze to the left. Breathing into the belly, nice deep breaths. Remembering to let go here. See if you can even soften the glute muscles, soften the belly, soften the jaw, soften the space between the eyes. Well done. And slowly release that leg. Bring the knees back to center. Take a breath. And then when you're ready, hug your knees in. Hug your knees in. Maybe take a few little circles there. Make some circles with the ankles. One way and then the other. And then release the feet to the floor. Drop the knees out into your butterfly pose and the soles of the feet touch. Bring your arms overhead, taking hold of opposite elbows. Slide the shoulders down and away from the ears. And just take a moment in your reclined butterfly here, just breathing and receiving. Come back to that affirmation. I give myself a moment of grace. Good, and eventually just sliding your legs down. Release your arms, turn the palms up, finding your shavasana, your opportunity to reap the benefits of your practice as you just let go for the final resting pose. Take a deep inhale and just release, letting go completely. Just noticing sensations, noticing patterns of thought. The body feel heavy and the mind float for the final few minutes. Gently deepen the breath. Slowly move your fingers and your toes. And when you're ready, maybe stretch the arms overhead. Nice deep breath there. Maybe bend the knees. Take time and roll to the right side, taking a moment on your right side. Just resting there, letting everything settle before you come up. Bringing that awareness into your body before you push yourself up. And just take your time, give your legs a rub. Rub your lower back. Rub your hands together, feeling that heat that you create. Maybe place the hands over the eyes. And just rubbing down the side of the face where the hairline meets the face, down maybe where the ears meet the face, and give a rub there, pulling a little bit on your ears. Just a gentle tug, little shoulder massage. Bring one hand to the heart, the other hand on top of the heart. Just nice breath there. Just acknowledging yourself for taking the time to do this practice. And just notice the benefits that you reap throughout the day of taking that time. And when you're ready, inhale, float the arms above the head, gathering strength and energy for the rest of the day. Hands to the heart space. Let's seal the practice with a primordial Om. Inhale. And surrender to the grace of the universe. Namaste. Thank you so much for joining me for this practice. If you enjoyed it, please leave a comment below. I'd love to know if it helps you in any way with your digestion or processing. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel.